The small family restaurant called El Rincón de Abuela, Grandmother's Corner, sat tucked away on a quiet side street in Madrid's Malasaña neighborhood, far from the tourist areas and upscale dining districts where celebrities typically ate. The restaurant had been operating for over 30 years, serving traditional Spanish comfort food to local residents, blue-collar workers, and the occasional lost tourist who stumbled upon it while exploring the neighborhood's winding streets. The interior was simple but warm, with mismatched tables, faded photographs of the original owner's family on the walls, and the perpetual aroma of home-cooked garlic, olive oil, and slowly simmered stews that made everyone who entered feel like they were visiting their grandmother's kitchen. Rosa Morales had been working as a waitress at El Rincón de Abuela for 12 years, ever since her husband Diego was injured in a construction accident that left him unable to work, and their family struggling to make ends meet on her single income. At 48 years old, Rosa worked 6 days a week, often pulling double shifts to maximize her earnings. But even with her dedication and excellent work ethic, she barely earned enough to cover the rent on their small apartment, Diego's medical expenses, and basic necessities for their 3 children. Despite the financial stress and physical exhaustion of her demanding job, Rosa maintained an upbeat attitude and treated every customer with genuine warmth and attention, earning her a reputation as one of the neighborhood's most beloved figures. On this particular rainy Tuesday evening in November 2019, the restaurant was quieter than usual, with only a few regular customers scattered among the dozen tables that comprised the small dining room. Rosa was using the slow period to clean tables and organize the service station when a young man entered alone, shaking raindrops from his jacket and looking around uncertainly, as if he wasn't sure he was in the right place. He was dressed casually in dark jeans, a simple black sweater, and a baseball cap that was still damp from the rain, and something about his posture suggested he was trying to avoid drawing attention to himself. Rosa approached him with her characteristic warm smile, grabbing a menu from the hostess station as she walked. "Buenas noches, señor. Welcome to El Rincón de Abuela. Would you like a table for one?" The man looked up and smiled genuinely, seeming pleased by Rosa's friendly demeanor. "Yes, please. Somewhere quiet if possible. I'm not really in the mood for crowds tonight." Rosa led him to a corner table near the window where he would have privacy and a view of the street. "This is perfect," he said, settling into his chair and removing his cap to reveal dark hair that was slightly disheveled from the rain. "Thank you for accommodating me." As Rosa handed him the menu, she noticed that despite his casual clothing, there was something distinctive about his accent and the quality of his watch and shoes that suggested he was probably not from the immediate neighborhood. However, she had learned over her years of service that the best approach with all customers was to treat them with equal respect and attention, regardless of their apparent social status. "Can I start you with something to drink? We have excellent wine, or if you prefer, our coffee is fresh and strong, perfect for a rainy night like this." The man studied the menu carefully, taking time to read each item rather than quickly scanning for familiar dishes. "Rosa," he said, reading her name tag, "what would you recommend for someone who wants to taste authentic Spanish home cooking? I'm not from Madrid, and I'd like to try something that represents what this neighborhood is really about." Rosa was impressed by his thoughtful approach to ordering and his apparent genuine interest in the local culture. "Well, señor, our cocido madrileño is legendary in this neighborhood. It's a traditional chickpea stew with vegetables and meat that's been simmering all day. It's exactly what Spanish grandmothers have been making for their families for generations. If you want something lighter, our tortilla española is perfect, and our chef makes the best croquetas in the district." The man's eyes lit up with interest. "That all sounds wonderful. I'll have the cocido, and please bring me whatever wine you think pairs best with it. Also, Rosa, I'd like to ask you something. Do you enjoy working here?" Rosa was surprised by the personal question, but sensed that it came from genuine curiosity rather than nosiness. "I love this place, señor. The work is hard and the hours are long, but this restaurant is like a family. Our regular customers have become friends over the years, and I take pride in making sure everyone who eats here feels welcome and well cared for." As Rosa brought his wine and bread, the man continued their conversation. "How long have you been working in restaurants, Rosa?" Rosa paused in arranging his silverware, considering how much personal information to share with a customer. However, something about his manner encouraged openness. "I've been here for 12 years, since my husband was injured and couldn't work anymore. I started as a server, but over the years I've learned to help with cooking, managing supplies, and training new staff. This job has been a blessing for my family, even though the money is tight sometimes." The man listened attentively as Rosa explained her situation, nodding with understanding when she mentioned the challenges of supporting a family on a single income. "You have children?" he asked. "3," Rosa replied with obvious pride. "My oldest, Carmen, is 17 and wants to study medicine at university. My middle son, Javier, is 14 and dreams of becoming an engineer. The youngest, little Miguel, is 8 and changes his mind about his future career every week." She laughed as she described her children's ambitions, but the man could detect an undertone of worry in her voice. When Rosa brought the cocido to his table, the man tasted it carefully, and his expression showed genuine appreciation. "Rosa, this is extraordinary. You were absolutely right about it, representing authentic Spanish cooking. Please give my compliments to the chef." Throughout the meal, Rosa found herself stopping by his table more frequently than usual, drawn into conversation about the neighborhood, the restaurant's history, and her family's life in Madrid. The man was an excellent listener who asked thoughtful questions and showed genuine interest in her experiences and opinions. He seemed particularly interested when Rosa mentioned her daughter's academic achievements and her dreams of attending medical school. "Carmen must be very bright to be considering medicine," he said. "Are you confident she'll be able to pursue that path?" Rosa's expression became slightly sad. "Carmen is brilliant. She has the highest grades in her class and volunteers at a local clinic. But university is expensive, especially medical school, and we've been struggling to save enough money for her tuition and expenses. We're exploring scholarship options and student loans, but it's challenging." When the man finished his meal, he complimented Rosa again on both the food and the excellent service. "Rosa, this has been one of the most enjoyable dining experiences I've had in a long time. Not just because of the wonderful food, but because of your hospitality and the warmth of this place." Rosa blushed at the praise. "Thank you, Señor. It's been my pleasure to serve you. I hope you'll come back and visit us again when you're in the neighborhood." The man asked for the check, which totaled €18 for his meal and wine. Rosa expected a modest tip, as was typical for the restaurant's casual dining atmosphere. But when she returned with his change, she found that he had left €200 in cash on the table, along with a handwritten note. Rosa stared at the money in shock, unable to believe what she was seeing. The note read, "Rosa, thank you for a wonderful evening and for reminding me why hospitality is such an important art. Please use this to help Carmen with her medical school dreams. The world needs more doctors who care about people the way you care about your customers. With gratitude, C." Rosa looked around the restaurant to thank the generous customer, but he had already left. She ran to the window and could see a figure walking away in the rain, but he was too far away to call after. Rosa spent the rest of her shift in a state of amazement, showing the note and money to her coworkers and trying to understand why a stranger would leave such an enormous tip for a simple meal. When Rosa arrived home that night, she told her family about the mysterious customer and his incredible generosity. Diego, her husband, was initially skeptical that someone would leave such a large amount of money without expecting something in return, but Rosa assured him that the gesture seemed completely genuine. Carmen, their daughter, was overwhelmed by the idea that a stranger would want to help with her education expenses. "Mama, this is like a miracle," Carmen said, tears in her eyes. "I was starting to think that medical school might be impossible for our family, but this changes everything." Over the following weeks, Rosa inquired among her regular customers and neighbors to see if anyone knew who the generous stranger might have been, but no one recognized her description of the young man with the accent and expensive watch. The mystery deepened when, exactly 1 month later, the same man returned to the restaurant on another quiet evening. Rosa recognized him immediately and greeted him with obvious excitement. "Senor, you came back. I've been hoping to see you again so I could thank you properly for your incredible generosity." The man smiled and took the same corner table he had occupied during his first visit. "Rosa, how are you? How is your family?" Rosa's eyes filled with tears of gratitude. "Senor, because of your kindness, my daughter Carmen has been able to apply for early admission to medical school. The money you left covered her application fees, entrance exam costs, and even some of her textbook expenses. You've changed our family's entire future." The man seemed genuinely pleased by this news. "That's wonderful, Rosa. Carmen sounds like a remarkable young woman who will make an excellent doctor someday. I'm honored to have played a small part in helping her achieve her dreams." During his second visit, Rosa learned that the man's name was Cristiano, and he mentioned that he traveled frequently for work, but always tried to return to places where he had experienced genuine hospitality and good food. He ordered the same cocido and asked detailed questions about Rosa's other children and their progress in school. When Cristiano prepared to leave after his second visit, he again left a substantial tip, this time €300, along with another note encouraging Rosa to use the money for her children's education and to take care of herself as well. "Rosa deserves good things too," the note read. "Don't forget to invest in your own dreams alongside your children's dreams." This pattern continued for several months, with Cristiano visiting the restaurant every 4 to 6 weeks, always sitting at the same table, always ordering the cocido, and always leaving generous tips with encouraging notes. Rosa began to look forward to these visits not just for the financial help they provided, but for the genuine conversation and interest that Cristiano showed in her family's welfare. After 6 months of these visits, Rosa had received over €2,000 in tips from Cristiano, money that had completely transformed her family's financial situation and educational prospects. Carmen had been accepted into medical school with partial scholarship assistance, and the additional funds from Cristiano's tips would cover most of her remaining expenses. Rosa had even been able to set aside some money for Javier's future engineering studies and to pay for Diego's physical therapy sessions that their insurance didn't cover. One evening in June 2020, Rosa was watching television with her family when a Real Madrid match came on the screen. As the camera focused on the players during pre-game introductions, Carmen suddenly pointed at the screen with excitement. "Mama! That player looks exactly like your mysterious customer from the restaurant." Rosa looked more closely at Cristiano Ronaldo on the television screen, and the recognition hit her like a lightning bolt. The facial features, the voice she had heard in interviews, the confident yet humble demeanor, it was unmistakably the same person who had been visiting her restaurant and supporting her family for months. "Dios mío," Rosa whispered, her hand covering her mouth in shock. "I've been serving Cristiano Ronaldo cocido for 6 months, and I had no idea who he was." The family sat in stunned silence as they realized that one of the world's most famous athletes had been quietly supporting their dreams and treating Rosa with the same respect and kindness he would show to anyone, without ever revealing his identity or seeking recognition for his generosity. Rosa immediately understood why Cristiano had chosen to remain anonymous. He wanted their interactions to be genuine and based on human connection rather than celebrity worship. The next time Cristiano visited the restaurant, Rosa decided to acknowledge that she now knew his identity, but in a way that wouldn't embarrass him or change the nature of their relationship. When he sat down at his usual table, Rosa approached with a knowing smile. "Good evening, Cristiano. Will you be having your usual cocido tonight?" Cristiano looked up with surprise, realizing that Rosa had discovered who he was. "You figured it out, didn't you?" he said with a slight grin. Rosa nodded. "My daughter recognized you on television, but I want you to know that discovering your identity doesn't change how grateful we are or how much we've enjoyed our conversations. You've treated my family like we matter, and that means more than your fame or success." Cristiano's expression showed relief that Rosa had handled the revelation with such grace. "Rosa, I'm glad you know, actually. It means I can tell you directly how much your hospitality and friendship have meant to me. In a world where people often treat me differently because of who I am, you've always just seen me as a customer who enjoys good food and conversation. That's been a gift to me, as much as I hope I've been able to help your family. From that point forward, their relationship continued with the same warmth and mutual respect, but with the added understanding that Cristiano's support for Rosa's family was part of his larger commitment to helping people achieve their dreams. Rosa never asked for additional help beyond what Cristiano chose to provide, and he continued to visit the restaurant regularly, always treating it as a refuge where he could enjoy simple pleasures and genuine human connection. Years later, when Carmen graduated from medical school and opened her own clinic serving underprivileged communities, she sent Cristiano an invitation to the opening ceremony. In her invitation, she wrote, "Dear Cristiano, you probably don't remember the scared waitress's daughter whose dreams you supported, but you made it possible for me to become a doctor who helps families just like mine. My clinic exists because you believed in our potential when we couldn't afford to believe in ourselves. Thank you for showing us that angels sometimes wear baseball caps and order cocido." Rosa continued working at El Rincón de Abuela for several more years, but with the financial security that Cristiano's support had provided, she was able to reduce her hours and spend more time with her family. She never forgot the lesson that Cristiano had taught her about treating everyone with dignity and respect, regardless of their apparent status, and she carried that lesson into every interaction she had with customers, coworkers, and neighbors throughout the rest of her life.